Oh, we do too. I just published today the counties the horses are in.
Is there any Benton County?
Nope.
Where are they?
Clackamas, Crook, Deschutes, Klamath, what did I miss? 6. Umatilla, thank you. And I'm sorry. I said I had 20 horses isolated, and the question was, where are they? The cases, I'm sorry, were you asking about?
I was asking where the horses were that were exposed.
Oh, that's what I'm telling you, in all these cases. Oh, Baker is the other one.
I think we want to know though where the 2 horses that are.
The 2 horses that are positive, one's in Clackamas County and the other's in Umatilla.
Were those both associated with the show?
All horses were associated with the show.
Those 2 horses?
Yes,
Okay.
associated in that they had blood.
Horseshoers are the one group that kind of rolls in from a lot of different parts. Washington hams, they still have tools.
Yeah, they do.
What do they do?
I'm here to visit with the experts because that question is one that I need to have by Monday. What can we tell horses other than say every time you go to the farm, change your clothes, just like a veterinarian does. So I'm not going to even go there because I don't have a good answer, but it is an answer that needs to be, we have to figure out what are we going to do. I know what I'm doing in these farms where the horses are locked up. That's easy, but in the other side, it's hard. It's hard. Yes.
What about when these horses came out from Austin?
Yes.
On their way, did you check? Anybody check to see where they stopped along the way, maybe for overnight, so that the animals in that barn may have been infected?
Isn't that a wonderfully complicating thing? I've talked with all the people, and outside of one guy, nobody stopped in our state. Once they had whatever they had, and they were, their last day's trip was from someplace in Idaho, and just kept on coming. So nobody stopped someplace else. One guy, now we have a second little group that's just beginning to be identified. One guy, though, did take his horse before he went home and before we knew what was going on, and he went to a cutting horse den, and so a bunch of club horses are exposed, but that horse was not exhibiting signs. This is another conundrum for us. The horse never exhibited signs. He was just simply at that show. And inadvertently, and I'm kind of sorry a little bit that they did that, but some veterinarian took his nasal swab and sent it to WSU, and it's positive. So now we have that horse positive, not showing any signs, and a little group of some kind of exposure that we're working with. And we have those, we're talking, sending letters and getting
But
out
there
there.
could be more of those.
Well, there could be,
That you don't know.
that we don't know about. And geez,
28 days.
I haven't slept much worrying about those that I don't know about.
Realistically though, the panic, you're saying everybody's panicked, everybody's on Facebook, but you're
Not
making
me.
everybody aware that this is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And that we need to be more careful about letting our horses share water
Yeah,
sources
I think-
and
there you
keeping
go.
things clean, isolating horses.
Do
This
you
isn't
hear
a
this?
bad thing. This is a
This-
good thing.
If everybody would, in my humble opinion, have always paid more attention to basic biosecurity stuff that we all been preaching for who knows how many years, we may not even be in this current event. I don't know. Yes.
Okay, you said Klamath Falls, you've got horses isolated.
Yes?
Okay, we were just
In Klamath County. I did not say Klamath
Okay,
Falls.
you said Klamath County.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are counties, not telling. It's an ongoing investigation,
Okay, well,
but it's in the county.
we just brought back 3 mules from Klamath Falls, so.
Well, here's what I would say to you. This is Don Henson to you. You had mules in a city, and you were messing around. I'm saying, the horse that might have been close to you is all locked up. You couldn't have got to it. And no, that's a good thing to think about. You couldn't have got to it. So you have not increased your risk. And I think we need to be there. Just because it's in a county doesn't mean, well, I guess the county's infected.
If a person is planning on going to a horse show, and
Yep.
going to draw horses from several different western states,
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
In
And you
the
know
next
those are going
week-
on.
Pardon?
And you know those are going on as we speak.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering, and so, many of us have chosen not to go, and one of
Certainly.
our people canceled the show, which
Yes.
is nice. But say in the next 2 weeks, we've got a different show we'd like to go to. I mean, are we gonna, when's this gonna be over?
I don't know. I know, and I'll give you, everybody, I'm sure all of the medical faculty here is gonna have an opinion, you should ask them. I'll give you mine, since I have the stage for the moment. And mine is, it's your risk to assess. If you have a horse you love to death, and or worth $1 million, and you've got to weigh to yourself, okay, I want to go to a show. Not the show, but any show, based on what you've just seen. Any show you go to, you have a chance of exposing your horse to this virus. Any show you go to. And so you have to weigh it and say, okay, is it really worth it? And make the assessment. And then go or not go. And I know it's kind of like a chicken way out, but it's really got to be your assessment on this piece. And if the cases get worse, now just one more regulatory thing. If the cases really kind of blow up over this next period in our own state, we'll figure out appropriate regulatory action. But right at the moment, there's nothing, it's all very static.
I heard already today that Dr. Hansen was shutting down the shows in the state.
I tell you what else I heard, and I got my chewed really good from somebody, because I'm not shutting down shows.
Okay, so I'm going to quote you. I'm putting on a show.
No, put on a show. And I've told those people who have asked that want to put on a show, I've had the same conversation. You have to decide what the risk and your liability is, and then go ahead with your show. People have the choice of coming or not coming to your show.
I got a question. How long has this been around?
Well, 5 years, 6 years, more, 2005?
Herpes virus?
No, the
The
neurotropic.
Neurotropic's been for 50, 60 years.
Thank
Okay,
you.
how many people have been going to shows regularly for 50 or 60 years? Raise your hand. All right? Guess what, folks? It's the same thing as lead paint when you were licking toys as a kid. This is a thing. It will happen. It may happen. It may not happen. So don't let your lives get run by it.
But I have one more thing to share, and then I'll yield the floor to anybody else. There's a statistic that I have been sharing with the press. I haven't seen it quoted in place, but I've been sharing it with the press about this form of this herpes virus. Since I took this job, 6 years, we've seen 4 or 5 neurological herpes events each year throughout someplace in the United States, and they go boom, and a few horses are affected, and they go away. I hope this one acts just like that, and it just comes up. We see it. We're going to deal with it as we can, and it just goes. Psh. The last case that we dealt with did exactly that in our own state. That was 2007.
Wasn't there one in 2005 also?
What could have been? That was before my time. But 2007 is the one I was in, and very expensive horses were affected, and a number of stables were locked down, and it did just that. We all talked, and John and I spent lots of time talking, and it did just that. We did everything we could, and it went shh. So maybe this will do.
So we should be fairly confident that those horses that were affected, all that
That were exposed.
that were exposed are in isolation. And
Yeah.
so if you aren't in with those groups,
Well, if you were in with those groups, you're not going to any show.
right? But if you're but if you're not, and it's the group that you're going to hasn't, they've either been at home or just to the same place. That's probably okay.
But there are other people, risk analysts and risk deciders in the room besides your state.
Thank you, Don.